It's the middle of the night. A road that leads to the box office outside the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai is barricaded by the police. But that doesn't stop people from queuing up. There are women, children, and men sitting on the pavement or sleeping on the roads just so that they can be among the first ones in the line to purchase tickets for Chennai Super Kings' home game in the IPL. But who are these fans and why were they spending the whole night on a footpath? There's a twist here because these aren't your usual cricket fans. Welcome to Express Sports Podcast, and you're listening to Game Time with me, Mihir Vasavda. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Amit Kamath. And joining us all the way from Chennai is Venkata Krishna, who unearthed this fascinating story of how the fake fans, quote unquote, are making a killing out of the IPL games. But before we return to the story of those people outside the stadium in Chennai, Amit, first to you. And this is, we've always heard stories about fans being taken for granted, being taken on a ride at multiple sports events in India, more so in cricket. Talking about this story in particular, why don't you start by giving our listeners an overview of what is this issue and what we'll be kind of talking about today?
Great. Mihir, thank you so much for introducing me and starting the introduction. I just wanted to kind of give a brief overview of what the topic is, right? On the one hand, we've noticed over the last few years that ticket prices have always gone up, especially when it comes to games where there is a massive build-up. You have maybe the last season that Dhoni is playing, obviously ticket prices are going to go up. You have Royal Challengers Bangalore fighting for survival playing in their last home game. Obviously prices are going to go up. So, and not just that, we've seen that even inconsequential games sometimes they have like massive requests for prices. Venkat, I believe, knows better than all of us here because he tends to get a lot of demands for tickets, whatever the opponent may be.
Well, that's just the life of a sports journalist, Amit. During and more so Venkat because he's the man in demand in Chennai when the IPL season begins.
Absolutely. So obviously ticket prices have gone up season after season, but on the other hand, the facilities that we provide for these cricket fans, they haven't scaled up at all. Sometimes you have, I recently saw this fan vent his ire on, I think, Twitter, where he was talking about how he left the game midway because he and his mother were given seats right behind a pillar. That just in a nutshell kind of tells you how taken for granted some of the fans are at stadiums, which is a great segue to go to Venkat. Venkat, can you just talk about this story, how you stumbled upon it and what the story was?
Hi guys, good to be back here on the show again. So, see, it's been like going on through the entire season, alright. Like we already spoke about how this entire city of Chennai has been gripped by Chennai Super Kings and Dhoni's give a farewell to the Dhoni. So, in that sense, there has been a lot of demand for tickets like never before. It's been like unprecedented. In the last 10 years, IPL hasn't happened like that frequently in Chennai compared to say Mumbai or Delhi because the entire of IPL in 2014 was not played here. 2018 they just played one match. So, and then for the franchisee that is like has the most following to come home after like again a gap of 4 years, it was going to be always huge. But none of us expected this sort of demand for tickets, to be honest, because all you see is like when it happens, when the tickets are open and it immediately, not even a minute. And I have been like getting messages as early as like 9:31, 9:32. People DMing on Twitter like, yes, tickets have been sold. What is happening? So that's what made me curious as well. And then when I've been seeing visuals on Tamil channels as to like how fans are like queuing up even as early as 10 p.m. for the previous night for a ticket sales that opens around like 9:30 in the morning. So that got me a little curious. But at the same point, at that point in time, early on during the IPL, it was just about fans. But what happened was towards the end of it, there were like protests outside the Chepauk Stadium asking separate queue for ladies. And then suddenly there was a separate demand for disabled people. And then in forefront of everything, there were some common things that you notice. Like these were not like what do you call like the usual fans being protesting over there. It had something behind it. If you observe it closely, like if Mihir, Amit, you guys must be knowing as well. When you see something totally odd than the normal. So that's what made me curious in first place. And then they were like doing it on YouTube channels and stuff. So yes, fans do speak to YouTube channels and stuff that is given, but there seemed to be an agenda behind what they were saying. So that's what made me curious. Okay, there is more to what we are actually seeing.
Right, so Venkat, I mean, we mentioned at the start of the episode about these people who were queuing up outside the Chepauk. Who are these people?
See, the stadium is located right close to the Marina Beach. So these people who are like, some of them who are homeless, who sleep in the Marina Beach front, and the ones who sleep just around the stadium. There are like a lot of pavements which are like occupied by like this homeless people. They ended up being in the queue. So, and even there are like areas behind the lighthouse. It was like you see them and you knew that they were not here for cricket because none of them knew why they were there for. I mean, they knew they were like there for buying tickets, but for who's playing who? One lady told it was India. One lady told she doesn't even know. She was saying something called Sachin. All that she knew was that they're like, it was very obvious that they were not there for themselves. They are gonna get the tickets and hand it over to someone else. And same with the boys as well. There is a Tamil actor called Ajit Kumar who goes by the name Talas, who gets called Tala. Somebody had like told him, listen, you're gonna get ticket for like a Tala thing, and then he thought Tala means the Ajit Kumar, not Dhoni the actor, and he ended up being in the queue thinking he's buying movie tickets. So there are this sort of fun thing as well, but it was just sad to see like how these guys are being used actually, because some of them are solely or dependent on cleaning works. They engage themselves to be part of the corporation to clean the roads and stuff like that. And then they were also being in the queue. And then you could see even the usual Chennai corporation workers who were like sweeping the roads late in the night. They were also talking to them. They were like they were like probably friends or neighbors. They were also talking to them. So they are telling them as a why you also don't like, you can also stand in the queue. You could like stand for 3 matches. You would have made more money. So, but it is just sad, yeah. It's just like it shouldn't happen this way. Yes, they are like doing out of desperation, but I just felt like they are not allowing the real fans as well. They are denying the real fans as well. Yes, they were able to sell tickets to those who could afford, but there are people who can't afford spending 4K, 5K for a single ticket. There was a family which came like on the match day of our Delhi Capitals match, I believe. They were so innocent. They thought they were like coming to buy tickets like you do for a movie. They're asking where can I buy tickets, and it was just felt like there are kids as well. They were like asking uncle where can we get tickets. So it was just sad to even tell them like, listen, you're not gonna get ticket because one, you knew that the tickets are being sold for like 5x, 6x rates, and then they're like completely clueless as well. So that's where it sort of felt like, okay, this shouldn't be happening in a tournament like IPL. I hope they take good care of it during the World Cup because ICC is going to handle and there won't be any over the counter sales.
Right. Venkat, I believe you wrote that, there were kids who were buying tickets worth 2,000 rupees. There were kids, there were payment dwellers, there were daily wage laborers who were buying tickets worth 2,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees, which then could be sold for anywhere between 5,000 to over 6,500 to 8,000, depending on what the match was, what the scenario was. And essentially they were being paid around 800 rupees each just to queue up to spend around 6 hours in the queue, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you just tell us a little bit more about why do the cops know about this? What is it that they are even trying to do, or are they completely helpless in this case?
It's not that cops are not helpless in this situation. They know what is happening. In fact, there are like a lot of complaints as well as even I got to see it personally, even police having a hand in this. So in particularly the women's row, it is like it's exclusively women centric thing they have. One of the box offices reserved only for ladies. So over there, the 2,000 worth of tickets are sold, and it was like fairly like you see some of the ladies who are like living around the area. They are the ones who ended up making the queue, and it was bright. There was like a lot of light, but around the area, so which means that you could see their faces and you could know where. And then complete contrast was the one on the Victoria Hospital Road. Those who are like familiar with Chennai would be aware of it, how this road is just adjacent to the Chepauk MRTS railway station, and that area is usually little on the darker side even during the daytime. It's like not many take it, so it's like people who want just like it's very less traffic in that road. So by night, what they had done is like as early as 10:30 p.m. or 11 p.m. they had arrived, like all the young college going kids or those who have like dropped out. They have had like made to stand in the queue, and the police had completely barricaded the entire either ends of the road so that even a common fan wanted to buy a ticket via counter and wanted to get into the queue, he was not allowed to join. So there are like, I mean, the reporters were denied entry into the road. Reporters are not allowed to take photos. Reporters are not allowed to take videos. So even I had my phone snatched by one of the police saying that you can't take videos. So I was like asking them why exactly is it? So he's like, no, this can't be taken. So there has been like a lot of instances. There have been instances that have been caught on camera, television cameras by the Tamil news channels that where police were like seen being part of the queue and picking tickets using the influence. So that is also going on. And also what is interesting is like there have been few cops who are like usually deputed for security purpose on match day. I've seen them selling tickets as well outside the stadium. They pick those 5,500 tickets and they have been selling it for say 4,000, 5,000. This has been going around throughout the IPL. So it is little like sad that even the police who are supposed to stop this black market racket is or part of this entire thing. I'm not saying the entire police forces, but there are like a lot of people who are doing this on a consistent basis. And like, I mean, like all of us know how, I mean, people fire a lot of gas, I mean, fire a lot of bullets at the state associations as to how they are like giving very less tickets to fans and stuff. But not many know that how much police, electricity board or fire service personnel, they demand tickets as well. They are being it armed to the state association say that listen, if you don't provide tickets, we will be withdrawing the security and you'll be in trouble. So these sort of things tend to happen as well. So at that point in time when the police or the fire service department like put those things, those sort of demands to the franchisee or to the state cricket association, they are like suddenly they are like they have to like resist. What is the way to resist? Okay, we'll give you tickets, we'll give you complimentary tickets, and then you're giving complimentary tickets. These complimentary tickets or have something of note, sort of these are complimentary tickets not to be sold. But what happens is people who end up buying this getting this complimentary tickets end up selling them as well. They sell it for like 5,000, 4,000, whatever, because it doesn't matter to them, because it's whatever comes, it's they are getting it for free and they are like selling it at like exuberant prices. So it's just like sort of cheating as well in my book. As this is like who would like to get us something free and then pay? That's like get it, sell it as well. So that sort of thing has been happening around this IPL as well, especially with a lot of cops over here in Chennai.
It's very interesting, Venkat, because one of the first visuals I saw coming out of Chennai at the start of this season was the queue that we are talking about, and I think a lathi charge by the police. It was before the first match, if I recollect properly. And one of the first things that also made me wonder that I was wondering back then was we're talking about going digital and everything being so smooth and seamless by booking ticket online, blah blah blah. And here we have a situation where again we've gone back to the old era, right? I mean, 90s and perhaps even before that. Why is it that we still have physical box offices at a time when almost every other person, especially cricket going people, have access to internet and mobile phones and the ability to purchase tickets online?
It's a very good question, Mihir. The thing is, let me give a small explanation to this as to why CSK opted for over-the-counter sales. Before the start of the season, they had signed up with a platform like Paytm or Paytm Insider that they will sell percentage of their tickets on sale online, and rest will be sold over the counters, because there was like a perception within the franchisee as well that online tickets are just sold in within minutes, and those who are not able to log in will get an opportunity to buy it over the counter. But what they didn't foresee was the amount of the demand. The demand was like nowhere close to what the supply was. I mean, I'm giving a rough figure over here. There are like around like only say 12 to 15,000 tickets were being sold for the fans. So of that, we can say like maybe like around 50-60% goes online, and the remaining 40% comes to sales over the counter. So that's again a very minimum number you're talking about. And then there are like thousands and thousands of demands. Like the demand runs into lakhs, but the supply is very, very like minimum. So there's a huge imbalance over there in first place. So that is one reason why CSK thought, okay, it will be fair if we even sell tickets over the counter instead of just going online, because like right through the season, one complaint has been like it's easy to book tickets through IRCTC than get tickets for CSK, and you have to be like, really quick with your hands.
Wow, that's saying something.
Yeah. So and then there are like even people are telling me things like if you're doing it via mobile, it is very tough to pick the seats. But in case you have a desktop or laptop, it's easy to book tickets as well. So it was like everybody are coming up with own theories, like analysis to how to book tickets as well. So there is a lot of time being spent on it. So yes, that's why they went for like an online thing. But also the season, what happened was CSK at the MH Chidambaram Stadium had like changed their overall entry thing as well. They wanted to make it hassle-free for the fans. So what they had done is during the ODIs, they wanted to just scan codes were placed across all the entire ground. Like each gate had a QR code system. So as long as you just show the code, you are just let in. So that was happening as well. So they thought that okay, with this system in place, it will be like easy to for the fans as well. But this IPL again, it has showed that it is no way easy. So I'm already told like the franchisee has already learned from whatever happened this season, and then they are planning already looking ahead for the next season, where they are saying that each individual can book up to 4 tickets online as against the 2 right now, and then with that they can even they need to produce a ID card so that the black marketers don't get into the system. So that is one way they are trying to do, and they're going to have a trial run during the TNPL, which is starting in June. So that will give us a fair indication as to how this is going to operate next season.
So, Venkat, I mean, you're talking about this whole issue with cops and associations and also the other boards, not necessarily the police service, but the others as well. I mean, if we were to then focus again on this particular issue that you highlighted, I mean, you're talking about 700, 800 women that you'd mentioned who wait outside the gate at Chepauk. Then you've got street dwellers, college goers, like Amit mentioned. These 2,000 rupees tickets, they are then sold for 6,000, 8,000 bucks. And I'm guessing the people who purchase are actual genuine fans of the game or genuine lovers of MS Dhoni, because these are the only two people who would be willing to pay that amount for a single T20 match. Once they're inside the stadium, is the ticket price even justified?
See, the ticket price, whatever they're paying in the black market, will never ever justify it at all. Yes, you get a good ambience. I must tell you, compared to the previous IPL seasons, this time the fan experience at Chepauk has been like rather brilliant, because the stadium has undergone a massive renovation and it has kind of lit up the entire area as well. So it is like kind of it is getting better with each outing, actually, to be honest, because the work was going on right through the IPL. The atmosphere was like electric all around. Even the guys who are coming from IPL organizers, even BCCI officials, they were saying like they haven't seen Chepauk this good, and even the atmosphere, they are like saying like it is better than all around India. Bangalore has been usually winning the award on a consecutive years for as the best stadium or something like that. But I think this time, I won't be surprised if Chennai beats Chinnaswamy to it, because yes, one is Dhoni is one primary reason, because he's been getting that sort of a farewell reception every time he walks into bat. But even otherwise, be it like installing the QR code scanners, and then it's like it doesn't take you more than like say 5 to 7 minutes to enter the stadium from the main gate. Once you clear that,
And the stadium looks great on TV as well.
yes, it does.
The
It does.
canopies and everything. It looks very pretty.
And it doesn't take time as well. But only there have been like small things like since it has become a no plastic zone, you're getting water like in a paper cups, which are like they say like it's like what you get in like say PVR cinemas, what you get like one can of Pepsi for like that sort of size you get for 20 rupees, which they feel like it is just like overpriced for that size. But other than that, I haven't seen anybody complain about like washrooms or any of the things. Yes, there have been odd instances like Amit mentioned earlier in the podcast as well about how one of the fan who paid 5,000 for a 1,500 worth of ticket ended up getting a seat behind the pillar. And now that seat is like usually reserved for, it's a complimentary ticket. So somebody has made use of it and has like cheated the fan as well. That is I feel really, really sorry for the fans as well. Because on one side, when the actually tickets were like sold online, the seats right behind the pillar, they didn't even go on sale. They were kept empty. But when it came to complimentary thing, yes, it didn't matter. Like you're getting it for free. So you just like make do with whatever you get. That is what the thing was. But what has happened is the people who ended up getting complimentary tickets ended up selling them. So then when you pay for the ticket and you end up with such a view, you just end up ruining it. So there is nothing, there's only way to stop it is like to cover up the entire and say that, okay, these seats will not be put up for sale. No matter whether it is complimentary or not, this is going to remain unoccupied.
Venkat, I'll tell you the reason why that particular story caught my interest. I kind of sympathize with the person because the only time I've been to the Wankhede Stadium was as a fan, and this was, I think, 4-5 IPLs ago. And I'd gone with my cousins, and I remember being given a seat right behind one of the pillars. So I went back home with a very nice stiff neck because I had to keep craning around the pillar to look at the stadium, look at the pitch. So yeah, I do understand this fans' ire. But moving on, Venkat, I wanted to understand the thing that you're talking about, how franchises are going out of their way to, kind of make things better. It is coming at a time where we are also getting to know or hear more problems about stadiums. I think fans have also now seen fan culture at foreign venues, which is why these problems are coming up. Like Mihir and I have been to plenty of stadiums around the world as obviously as journalists, but then we've also seen the kind of things that stadiums do to make sure that the culture is there. It's a very hospitable environment for fans who might spend as little as 2 hours or as much as like 7 or 8 hours in the stadium. It starts with something as basic as having a roof over their heads. I think there are some stadiums in India which don't even have roofs over their head in certain sections. And when you have a game at something like a 3 o'clock or a 2 o'clock or even 4 o'clock starting games, you are essentially left to the elements, right?
Amit, totally agree. Amit, see, we'll take, let's say, take Hyderabad for instance, Pune, or even Ferozshah for instance. These, and even some parts of Eden Gardens. These grounds don't have a shade at all. And we're talking about peak summer. When you're going there for a 3:30 game, it's like you're getting just roasted. You're just getting barbecued out there. There is nothing else like the fans can do because yes, you're paying like somewhere between 750 to 5,000, 7,000 to get those tickets, and then you end up not even getting a share of production. So that is very, very sad in many level, which is why I feel like the state associations and franchises should take more ownership of how to make the fan experience better. After all, without fans, they are not going to. And also, other thing is cricket for unlike other sports, has become extremely, extremely a television spectator sport. It is not. They are not worried about or care enough about the stadium going fans at all. At some point they stopped caring about them. They thought whatever it is, if they pay, they are gonna come. They are gonna put up with the facilities that we give. So it became that sort of a thing. You see, all of us have been to enough stadiums. You know how even the security personnel and even the police treat the fans who are going to the stadium. They are frisked for no reason. Yes, you take security measures. Yes, you need to go through the scanners to check whether there are like any bomb threat or whatever it is. Just check. But there have been instances where people are stopped from like carrying keys and women are not allowed to carry handbags. What is it? What are you trying to tell them? Like, it doesn't happen anywhere. In other countries, you carry even musical instruments, lot of things. Here, you can't do that at all. You're like, ask thousands of questions. You will end up throwing it and hurting the player. Come on, man. We're like, yes, it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but the concept of like going to the stadiums is a part of a culture in a lot of European countries. It's part of their culture. going and supporting the club that is next door. Be it like if people in North London end up like supporting Arsenal, people in like other part of London end up supporting, I don't know what do you call that club. And then in west of Chelsea, London, you support a lot of Chelsea fans. That's how the entire culture is built. Here, like for instance, like Chennai, Bangalore, or Mumbai Indians, you have similar sort of culture. It's our club, it's our franchise, we should support. So these franchises also are the ones who take good care of the fans as well in the stadium. And these three stadiums incidentally have the best fan experience as well in terms of atmosphere and stuff. So all these things contribute as well. You have to like build a culture. That's when I think the franchises are doing, so these three franchises are doing like a phenomenal job around it about building a culture. Like now Chennai next season they are gonna have open a museum as well. So that is gonna be like really cool as well. You come to the ground, you get to see the museum, and there is a virtual tour around the stadium. They're arranging some sort of a thing is gonna keep them engaged. So
Venkat, sorry to interrupt you. That is rare, right? In Indian cricket, I have not heard of too many stadiums having virtual tours or stadium tours or even museums for that matter.
yes, I mean museums. Yes, there are a couple. I think there are some small museums in Pune, Mumbai, and Chinnaswamy, but I'm not really sure whether it is allowed to open to public. But here, when they're gonna do it, it's gonna be like really great as well. It's gonna like fans come over here, they can like just go around, and then there are also talks that where one of the former CSK players will go around, I mean, will accompany them at odd times. So if that happens, it will like be a different experience, and other franchises will also try to do that. Also, again, I just like to reiterate one more thing. I think the cricket has to care about the stadium going fans as well. Even the players, when you go, you see them on television when they score a century or something. Their celebration is just for the television, it's for the TVs. I mean, how often do we see them first acknowledge the people who have been like cheering them, like standing in the hot sun? It's very, yes. Once everything is done for the cameras, then they just acknowledge with their raising the bat across the ground. Other than that, it's like everything is cut ready made for the television. It's like, yes, I have to like they know that camera's there. We have to make some gesture. I have to like probably even give her like a swear word or whatever. They do all of that, and then at the end of it all, they acknowledge the fans who have been cheering them all day. So that itself is like speaks up so much about where cricket treats the stadium going fans. So especially in India. So
No, absolutely, yeah.
no, those entire thing has to change. Yes, the shades, everything. These are mandatory. We are in 2023, and then we have a World Cup to be coming up in October, November. You need your stadium should at least have some sort of a shade. You look at Hyderabad, you see Chennai, and then you see the Hyderabad. There are like canopies that are like torn, and people are sitting under it. One is paying the same amount, and other one is also paying the same amount. Doesn't have a shade.
No, absolutely, and yeah, that's the whole point, right, Venkat? I mean, you also mentioned about the security issues entering the stadium and all. I can't remember a crowd trouble incident in India at a cricket stadium after late 90s. So I don't know why the security has been so uptight in India, especially for normal fans who just want to have a good time, watch their favorite players in action. So we don't know how and when that will change, or if ever that will change. You mentioned about the World Cup coming up. BCCI has announced hundreds of crores worth makeover for most of the stadiums. We'll see how that goes. But if anything is to go by, I guess the fan experience will more or less still remain the same.
Mihir, I just want to add one more thing to that part. See, when we talk about that, we talk about the police personnel as well. I think maybe in the future, the government should also think about like having a separate police force for this hospitality sector. Like you have CISF guys guarding the airports. Maybe have some sort of a similar guys to take care of the sports facilities as well, especially on match days. For the 2011 World Cup, for instance, where like the entire Mumbai, the whole of India was like listening on Mumbai to the Wankhede Stadium. I've heard a lot of journalists, even fans from other parts of the world, like speaking great about how it was hassle-free to get into the stadium on a day where there are like so many protocols to. It was like made easy because instantly for the 2011 World Cup final, the BCCI had a central agency to take care of the entire ground. It was not restricted to the Mumbai police. So I think they learned a big lesson over there. I think that should be something should be like continue for the rest. I mean, beginning this World Cup probably they can hire CASF forces. give them like, okay, learn them the hospitality thing, teach them few lessons to how to go about the fans, how to treat the fans. I think then it will become a lot more easy, I believe.
Absolutely, and we'll see how it goes during the World Cup. And it's also, I think, 6 months or so to the World Cup now. By the time it ends, so it'll be a good time for us to revisit this episode and look at if at all anything will be different when India hosts the Cricket World Cup in October and November this year. Yeah, so already a 6 month countdown to that episode. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Thanks, Venkat, for first bringing out that story and taking time to share with us on this episode of Game Time. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Thanks for listening.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Abhishek Kumar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.